travel delay. If he's here in time, we'll slot him in here also. But we have 4 right now of the 5 coaches of the regional championship teams. Before we start, however, I am delighted to invite 2 leaders from the Women's Wrestling Coalition to make a most special announcement about NCAA women's wrestling. Please welcome Jackie Paquette of the National Wrestling Coaches Association and Julia Salata from Wrestle Like a Girl.
So, as Sandy said, Julia and myself and the leaders of our organizations are so excited to be in front of you today. We like to welcome you all because this truly is going to be a sort of momentous day within our sport. See the coaches smiling and agree with that as well. Through the work of the Women's Wrestling Coalition, so Julia represents Wrestle Like a Girl, I represent the National Wrestling Coaches Association, the USA Wrestling, the National Wrestling Hall of Fame. We are so excited to announce that we have 43 teams that we believe hit sports sponsorship this year, which is 3 more than the 40 that we need for NCAA emerging sports status. So with that, we are so excited to continue to work with the NCAA on what the next steps for that are and the next steps for getting this women's NCAA sanctioned championship.
Yeah, as Jackie said, we're very excited to make this announcement today, and it's thanks to the hard work of our coaches, our athletes, all of our national stakeholders who have made this possible for us. We've been working towards this goal since attaining emerging sports status back in January of 2020, and many years before that as well. And again, it's thanks to all this hard work that we're able to make this announcement today, and we're very excited about that. To see this come to fruition in such a relatively short period of time is pretty special. Again, just 3 years into emerging sports status, so we're very pumped to continue moving forward, to continue growing, working in lockstep with the rest of our programs and our stakeholders, and to have our first NCAA Women's Championship just the next couple of years. So thank you all very much for being here. It's going to be a great tournament, and we're very excited.
I think this deserves a huge
Thank you.
And you were here to hear it first. Before we go to our coaches, I want to introduce the tournament committee chairman, Mike Duffy. Mike.
Thanks, Sandy. I just want to welcome everybody to Cedar Rapids. I want to thank Dick Simmons, who's also the co-tournament chair with myself, Cedar Rapids with Jay Fanta, all our sponsors, especially Cliff Keen, Wrestle Like a Girl, National Wrestling Coaches Association, U.S. Marines, and of course USA Wrestling are our major sponsors. So we thank you. We have 37 of the 43 NCAA schools that have a wrestler here today. So that's exciting, and we look forward to a great wrestling tournament over the next few days. And these coaches all should be commended on great work, not only for getting their teams here, but for soliciting the sport of women's wrestling. It has grown leaps and bounds since we held the first kind of mock national tournament at Adrian College some 5 years ago. And we've come a long way since then, and we're only climbing the mountain. We're not even halfway up. And so congratulations to all these people. Thank you to Cedar Rapids and all they're doing for us. And let's have a great tournament. Thank you, Sandy.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, our coaches. Region 1 champion coach, Paulina Biega, Sacred Heart University. Region 2 champion coach, Jason Moorman of King University. And as I mentioned earlier, Jake Wozniak of UW-Stevens Point with the travel delay, but represents Region 3. Region 4, and North Central College, Joe Norton. And Region 5, Colorado Mesa University's Travis Mercado. I'm going to ask each coach to make a statement telling about their team's season, how preparation has gone for this event, and what their expectations are for their team at these nationals. And I'll start with Coach Biega.
My expectations for my team, well, all I want from them is to wrestle their best every single match, and the goal is to take it one match at a time. We are a very young team. We have basically only freshmen and sophomore on our team, so I'm excited for them. I'm excited that they've worked really hard since the moment we started. This is our second year as a program, so we came a long way. Last year we had 3 people here, now we are with 10. So I'm nothing but too proud of these young women, and I just want them to enjoy the moment, enjoy the honors of being here, and the goal is to wrestle and do our best. And if we do our best, this is going to be a good tournament. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we'll go to Region 2's champion coach, Jason Moorman of King University.
Yeah, we've had a pretty good year, I think. We changed our schedule up a little bit than we have in the past seasons. Usually we always go to Missouri Valley Open, and the one year we don't, it's record-breaking entries, and Iowa wrestlers are there and stuff. But we did a change, and we competed at the Bill Farrell Memorial International Open, which was good for us. And we got to compete at North Central Open, which we always like to go to because it's a very tough competition, and get to see Joe and his program. And then National Duels was a really good year for us. We went in with some adversity, and we were fortunate to walk away on top on that one. But that match probably could have gone any day, could have gone any other way. But so it was a good, fun weekend. And we've been taking a little bit different approach this year in our training. I feel like the last few years, I think the question was asked actually in the last with the athletes. We haven't won a NCWWC championship, but it seems like a semifinal round is always our nemesis of this tournament. So we've taken a little bit different approach, and I feel like coming into this weekend, we're probably the most healthy we've been in the last few years. We're fresh. They don't look tired. Full of energy and positive, ready to go. So, our expectation, and it's the same. You probably hear some of this being consistent to any coach you talk to, but we're really focused on going out and performing at the highest level we can. We're not hung up on a win or a loss, just performing at our highest level. And we really, really work to do that in everything that we do, and hopefully we'll be able to do that tomorrow and Saturday. So,
Representing Region 4, champion from North Central College, Joe Norton.
Yeah, we had a great regular season as well. We spent most of the year ranked first or second in the polls. 15-1 in duels. The one speed bump was the finals with King at the National Duels, which was a fun one. We also, Jason and I talked about that, we both elected to take Moval off this year and then looked back on it like maybe it wasn't the best decision after we saw the way the tournament turned out. But that was different for us not going to Moval this year. But the girls have done an awesome job all year. We've got a big team, and even more than just the 15 that are here this weekend have performed really, really well all season long, which made choosing 15 for the regional pretty tough, splitting hairs in a lot of cases. But it's been a fun year. The goal from the beginning has been, to win a national championship here this weekend. So that's the goal. That's the expectation. The expectation for each girl is to compete for her teammates. We talked to them a lot about doing that, being a team, wrestling for your team, and responding to adversity competitively. We talked about that quite a bit as well. There's going to be ups and downs this weekend, so want to see them have a competitive response every time we get punched in the mouth, being able to go and land the next shot and put your team in a position to come out winning a national title in the end.
Thank you, Joe. Travis Mercado, Region 5, Colorado Mesa University.
This is a great fifth season for us. Very similar to all these teams, had a really good schedule set up and a very competitive schedule. I thought we did a really good job of mapping out who we wanted to see and hopefully match up. And those two not going to Missouri Valley this year, kind of a bummer. We missed out on them, but that's okay. Got to see them at national duels. We're on the opposite side of King, so we haven't had an opportunity to wrestle them this year. But a 14-2 season, really excited about that. Finishing fourth at the national duels. We've been fairly consistent the past 5 years, so I think we just kind of staying consistent with competition level and just doing a well job there. The expectation for this tournament really is the same as it's been all year. Focus on having fun. We're going to bring the fight in everything that we do and enjoy the moment, right? I was telling the girls last night, we came and worked out, and Coach Moorman can attest to this. We've been coaching women's college wrestling. This is my 9th year, almost 10th year. Coach Moorman's been coaching it for, Dan? 15 years almost? A little bit lower than that. But to finally be in a big arena, to enjoy that moment, right? This is the first time that women's wrestling has been in the big arena, the same arena that men's D2 is going to be in next weekend. So we talked a lot about that. We're going to go out, we're going to compete at the highest level that we can. We're going to have a lot of fun while we're doing it. We're enjoying the moment. We're keeping it light, keeping it loose. Those that saw us working out yesterday were playing dodgeball really for most of practice. But that's really what's happening right now. We're just going to go out and compete and have fun. I have a really good feeling that we're going to perform well. We're going to put a lot of people in the national finals this weekend. I think we can really keep up with the top 2 teams ranked right now.
And we are delighted that despite the travel delay, Jake Wozniak, Region 3 UW Stevens Point, is able to be with us now. Welcome,
Yes,
Jake.
thank you. At one point our GPS said we were going to be here at 1:47, so bus driver hustled to get us here just in time for this. Sorry for sliding in a little bit late. Our women have kind of had an up and down season. We wrestled a really tough schedule, saw a lot of the people at this table maybe more often than we needed to, but that kind of had us ready for the end of the year, wrestle our best tournament of the year at the regional tournament. So we're excited to be here, hoping that we can carry that on one more weekend.
Thank you. And if anyone else has joined us since the announcement was made prior to this coach's portion, the NCWWC Executive Committee announced that women's wrestling has reached the 40-team level that will meet requirements for the NCAA to consider women's wrestling for an official championship. So we're celebrating that. Now, we'll let you come up and do one-on-ones for a short time, gentlemen and ladies, if you wish. Please feel free to move to other parts of the room to do your interviews. We thank you for attending this press conference. Unless someone here first has a question for all 5 coaches. Gary.
Yeah, and this is kind of a consistent theme with what we've been talking about, but I'd just like your reaction to the 40 number. I know each of your programs met it, but your peers have also worked really hard to put your sport in a position to be considered as an official NCAA sport, which, you know, back in the day when we started women's college wrestling with 5 or 6 teams was just something that was not yet imaginable, and now we're on the precipice of maybe putting this sport on the same level as basketball, football, and all these other American sports. I'd just like each of you to talk about how important it is for us to continue the momentum and to get that done. I don't know who wants to go. I'll ask Jason to go first. You've been around the longest.
For me, I mean, it's like, I don't know. I remember when we started programming, I think there was 13 teams total. And that's junior college, NAI, and NCAA, and we were in a little gym. I think the first national championship I ever coached at was at Missouri Valley. I mean, first of all, these ladies deserve this so much. So much. And, but I am just so proud of all the work, like you said. I mean, obviously, we've been able to fill a roster. I mean, what Paulina's done in 2 years has been amazing. And someone that came to mind when you were asked that question, Gary, was Mount Olive, their first year program, and they pretty much filled a lineup in the first year. And they're coaching men and women. And they care. We're out here messing around this morning. We're going to have a workout later. And they were working out, and I was watching them I was observing them, and they really care about their athletes. And man, I think we're just started, and it's pretty amazing. So.
Paulina, as a Division I program, which is pretty cool too, what are your thoughts about the possibility of moving forward to NCAA status?
Well, I'm very, very excited. I'm going to touch up on what Coach said. When I was in college, there weren't many programs, and now, there are that many. We've got NAIA, we've got NCAA, and D1 is growing, which is amazing, because these girls, for once, they deserve it. 100%, they work so hard, but they are also, I don't want them to compromise school versus wrestling, and having more and more D1 programs just opens up more doors for them for the future. And I'm very happy for these girls because they deserve to be seen. They work equally hard, or let me say it, maybe even harder a lot of times than other sports. So why not? So I hope that this is going to happen, and I'm going to do whatever I can to help out.
Coach Norton?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the best sport in the world, so having the women have an NCAA championship is a really, really big deal. This arena was a big step. This is where we had our D3 men's championship last year. This arena is awesome, could see it in the girls' faces when they walked in yesterday how much it means to them to be able to wrestle in a place like this. So once we have the NCAA branded mats, that's only going to be one more step to get them, you know, the same treatment that the men get. But our girls worked their tails off, man, and they deserve everything that the men get, and we're happy that we're one step closer to getting it.
Coach Mercado?
You know, I think it's a lot of the same sentiments that everyone's kind of saying. We've worked so hard, and not just we, us five here at this table, but all the coaches across the nation right now at the collegiate level. First-year programs, you know, coaches being hired midsummer and putting together a full roster. Like, that's impressive, and you have to do that. And there's so many people that are involved in this. Wrestle Like a Girl, USA Wrestling. But again, I think the big thing is once we get that championship status, right, it's only going to push women's wrestling, right? I saw a graphic, I think Wrestle Like a Girl put it out this morning, almost 53,000 girls wrestle in high school in 4 Division I programs. And then you look at, I think the next sport was field hockey or lacrosse. Similar number, 141 programs. I'm like, you got to catch up. And so I think us getting championship status will only, and I hate to say it this way, put the pressure on some of these other schools to make the change and make it happen, right? And as soon as we get that championship status, I think it's going to be a big snowball effect, and we're going to start to see more big Division I programs, other Division II teams that have men's wrestlings, or even Division II teams that don't have wrestling will add men's and women's wrestling, or maybe just women's wrestling, right? You look at Texas Women's, they don't have a men's team, and they started a women's team, and the full roster doing very well competitive. So I think that championship status will be kind of the benchmark for the big push that we're going to see here soon.
And Coach Wozniak, your school stepped up among the Wisconsin schools to be out there and to get this thing rolling. Your thoughts about where we are now and what the future looks like?
Yeah, we're really proud to be one of the public schools that offers women's wrestling. I think that kind of gives access to some women that otherwise don't have a chance. We're in our 4th year. Our first year, I believe there were 28 NCAA schools with women's wrestling. Right now, we're at like 55, so we've doubled in that time. And next year, I think there's 74 that we'll have. So to have doubled in the 4 years and for next year to have tripled in 5, unbelievable. To see where we've come, and also pretty exciting to see where we're going to be in another 5 years. So like everyone else said, the women deserve this kind of an arena. The women deserve for it to be an NCAA sport and to be able to have that logo on the mats and that logo on their championship. So really cool how far we've come, really exciting to see where we're going to be in another 5, 10, 15 years.
Yeah, right now you can qualify 15 total. King and North Central have 15. Do we want to pare that down? Do we want to get to 10 qualifiers, maybe the 2 teams with 15, start with that?
Personally, my personal opinion is yes, I think so. That's a good question. Because I hope my athletic director watching. Obviously, we have to get our roster numbers, and when you build your roster, you want to be as deep and as competitive as you can. But I also think that, you know, for the parity of the sport and the growth of the sport, you know, having one competitor per weight is very beneficial for the future. And I think, you know, I think it also eliminates, like Joe was mentioning, he had to choose 15. When you get one per weight, and that's a little bit easier. I mean, a little easier, I guess, sometimes. You know, but, so I'm for kind of changing that a little bit, but.
Yeah, I think what it's going to take is, I'm pretty strongly opinionated about this. It's going to take some of these men's coaches opening their minds a little bit and being willing to coach women. Because what we need is good coaches. And I think, you know, what Paulina's doing is awesome. And I think someday we need to get to the point where there's women leading our best women's programs. But right now there's not necessarily the supply of that as far as women coaching wrestling yet. And so we want, you know, the best athletes to have good coaches. So we need more good coaches in more places. I think if we're going to do that, I think that's something that has to happen. We have to get to where we're mirroring what we're doing on the men's side in the NCAA in all 3 divisions. How far away is it? I don't know, but I agree with Jason that that's got to happen sooner rather than later. And kind of spread the wealth out a little bit too, in terms of parity and making this thing, you know, exciting as far as what we have to talk about at press conferences and stuff like that.
I'll be the outlier on that. I actually like the 15. I think it puts our best women at the national tournament, which I think is important. I think it helps with one of the ugliest parts of our sport, which is the weight cut, where if you have two good 116-pounders, now one needs to cut to 109, where they can wrestle the weight where they're healthy rather than having to cut to get away from a teammate sometimes. I know the parity argument happens with, well, if it was only 10 and one per weight, then there's a little more parity, but Division I NCAA men has only 10, Division III NCAA men have only 10. I don't think you see a lot of parity with what Penn State's done there, what Augsburg and Warburg do, so I don't know that the parity argument really resonates with me, so I'm open-minded about it. I'd be okay either way, but I actually like the 15, at least for right now.
If any of you want to ask questions of any of the coaches to close, that I'm sure that will be fine. Thank you so much for attending this press conference. We look forward to seeing all of you here tomorrow for day 1 of the 2023 National Collegiate Women's Wrestling Championships. Thank you and good afternoon.